IPCC researchers admit global warming fraud. Global warming alarmists are scrambling to save face after hackers stole hundreds of incriminating emails from a British university and published them on the internet. The messages were pirated from the Climatic Research Unit, CRU, of the University of East Anglia, IEA, and reveal correspondence between British and American researchers engaged in fraudulent reporting of data to favor their own climate change agenda. IEA officials confirmed one of their servers was hacked, and several of the scientists involved admitted the authenticity of the messages, according to the New York Times. The article opined, "The evidence pointing to a growing human contribution to global warming is so widely accepted that the hacked material is unlikely to erode the overall argument." Climatologist Patrick J. Michaels challenged that position. "This is not a smoking gun, this is a mushroom cloud." The emails implicate scores of researchers, most of whom are associated with the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, an organization many skeptics believe was created exclusively to provide evidence of anthropogenic global warming, AG. Among the IPCC elite, embarrassingly, if not criminally, compromised is Philip D. Jones, a Ph.D. climatologist at the University of East Anglia whose work figured prominently in the IPCC Third Assessment Report of 2001. Jones also contributed significantly to the IPCC Fourth Assessment Report in 2007, Arkansas 4, but he failed to follow through when skeptical investigators asked to review raw data associated with that report. They announced intent to use UK Freedom of Information laws to obtain the data, so Jones sent the following email to one of his collaborators. "Mike, can you delete any emails you may have had with Keith 3 Arkansas 4? Keith will do likewise. Can you also email Gene and get him to do the same? We'll be getting Casper to do likewise." The Mike in this message is Michael Mann, professor of meteorology at Pennsylvania State University, whose influential hockey stick graph warning of pending global warming eco-catastrophe was found by a congressional investigation to be fraudulent. In another correspondence about Arkansas 4 labeled highly confidential, Jones contacted Mann regarding research critical of their global warming platform. "I can't see either of these papers being in the next IPCC report," wrote Jones. "Kevin and I will keep them out somehow even if we have to redefine what the peer review literature is." Mann received another incriminating email from Dr. Kevin Turnberth, a New Zealander now with the University of Colorado and head of the Climate Analysis section at the National Center for Atmospheric Research. "The fact is we can't account for the lack of warming at the moment, and it is a travesty that we can't." An incredulous Turnberth simply blamed our inadequate observing system. Yet he and his colleagues are now dodging the Climategate bullet, indignant that global warming skeptics are supposedly taking their comments out of context. One wonders if they might be referring to a message from Jones who wrote about a statistical trick he used to hide data. Or perhaps they mean Mann's reference to climate change skeptics as idiots. Now that AG is revealed as a farce, will big-spending politicians in the U.S. Senate halt efforts to impose a cap-and-trade system to ostensibly combat greenhouse gases and global warming? Of course not. Cap-and-trade is about raising taxes and increasing government control over our entire economy. Our socialist politicians in Washington will never stop pushing this issue, even if global warming alarmism is disproven to the point that hell really does freeze over. Will widespread and irrefutable knowledge of scientific fraud silence the socialist promoters of a new United Nations climate change protocol? Nonsense. In the name of saving the planet, the UN Copenhagen Treaty they intend to impose on the world would help to shackle it. Specifically, their green agenda would impose international controls, diminish the industrial might and living standards of developed nations, and transfer wealth from rich countries to poorer ones in an emerging world government. Internationalists and socialists will not back away from their long-sought-after global designs simply because the science supporting runaway global warming is shown to be flawed. No doubt they will continue to demand retributions for climate debt from the United States and the largely agreeable EU, despite Turnberth's observed lack of warming. The good thing is that even more than in the past, These false scientists and their alarmism will be countered with their own words. Even now reliable researchers are compiling the information in a publication that should shake our nation and maybe even a few Democratic politicians.